The Marikana mine workers continue with their fight for accountability and justice. They want President Cyril Ramaphosa to take personal responsibility for the massacre. 44 people died during the August 2012 unrest. 34 of them were gunned down on the 16th. Let's look ahead to tomorrow's court case. We speak now to Mineworkers Attorney Andries Nkome. Andries, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Let's talk about the case tomorrow. Your clients, of course, are adamant that the president must be held personally liable here because they believe that, harm has actually been suffered post the massacre. Let's start then with the case against the president. Do you want him to take personal liability for what does this look like for your clients?
Good afternoon, Bongiwe, and thanks for having me. Tomorrow's case, it's more about the understanding that the massacre took place as a result of the tripartite alliance between lawmen, the government, as well as the current president, because he had personal interest in what transpired in Marikana around that time. Now, the government has taken liability, and it says that it's going to compensate the people that have been murdered as well as injured and arrested in Marikana. But it's only that the president now, when probed for personal liability, he goes and says he's raising technical questions about why he's not supposed to be held liable. And that is the whole case for tomorrow. But I'm very hopeful that we should be able to have an outcome that says he's supposed to, one, apologize for what transpired in Marikana, and two, to make also a personal contribution towards the compensation of those people.
And you talk about, personal liability and this alliance that you talk about. We know that at the time it was Lonmin, it's now Sibanye. And they are arguing, though, in their papers, as I've seen, that, without even going much into the merits of the case, but part of their argument is that they are left not knowing the case and what they are required to meet as they are facing now this, lawsuit that has been brought against them. Seemingly, they, appear to be saying that, but we should not be looked at here as a party that should be seen to be liable. So are you then, basing that on those emails that we remember were coming out from the Marikana Commission as part of the evidence that you are bringing in order to also make sure that your clients also get some personal liability costs from Sibanye?
I think in respect of President Cyril Ramaphosa, we have argued that the murders and the massacre took place as a result of his characterization of the labor dispute. He is the one person that said, this is not a labor dispute, but this is criminal acts, and the police must act against the laborers that were seeking a better wage as criminals, and that's why we had them murdered in the way that they did. In respect of the company itself, Sibanye, we are saying they took over liability insofar as having taken over all the claims that were there against the lawmen, and therefore they ought also to be held liable.
And will the clients be present in court tomorrow?
We have had indications that some of the clients, in as far as they have been following up, including with the previous appearance, when the judge had been found to have had an interest in lawmen, they were there in person. So they have indicated that they will also come through and be there in court tomorrow. And
of course, this case, you're looking at, as the papers argue, patrimonial and compensable loss. But one of the things that has been so clear, this year marks 10 years, since the Marikana massacre. I wonder, for your clients, what does this then mean if they're still battling it out in the courts for what they are calling justice for them?
You will remember that we have some sort of apology from the president, and the clients are saying they need a proper apology to be made by the president. They need the presidency to make do on the promise that he had made that says he will come through and visit them in Marikana and say, we understand that this is what transpired, and therefore let's make amends and move on from here. But we don't have that, and that is the main thing that the clients are essentially looking for. The clients are looking for the president, Cyril Ramaphosa, to apologize, and he hasn't apologized, and he's not apologizing even now. He's only raising technical questions about why he's not supposed to apologize.
And how confident, though, are your clients that this is going to happen? Because when you read the papers, they talk about what you say, the technical, arguments that he puts forward. But at the same time, there have been repeated announcements on the public platforms by the president. I mean, I remember, for example, at Mama Winnie Mandela's memorial, for example, saying that he's going to be taking EFF leader Julius Malema with him to Marikana in order to begin the process of making amends, if I may even use those words. So what then makes your clients so confident that they will be able to finally get this apology, given the amount of time that has lapsed here?
The president at Mama Winnie Mandela's funeral made a promise, as you say, that he will go through to Marikana and make an apology. And everybody else knows that that has been, I think, 2017. Between then and now, nothing has happened. The president has been seen to be going through to Rustenburg as well as to Northwest in the province. But he hasn't set foot at Marikana. And we know that clients are saying the government already has taken liability for what transpired in Marikana. So therefore, their only hope is to force him through a court order to go through to Marikana and make an apology, and to also say, let's make amends.
And when we then look at the fact that right now, I cannot help but, look at the strike that is also in the mining sector, albeit it's in the gold sector, but it's still, hitting the very same mine. Would you say then that this particular case also brings to the fore the plight of the mine workers, as we've seen being argued even by AMCU President Joseph Mathunja, to say that they continue to fight, for this particular living wage, and now they're back here fighting for compensation?
It's only very sad that we have politicians as well as people in high political office being shareholders in mining operations. Now, when mining companies go through and harass as well as abuse people amongst whose communities they mine, they don't have anywhere to run simply because politicians are holding shares. And it's for that reason that we were saying President Ramaphosa, at the time that he wrote out an email and characterized a labor dispute as a criminal act, he was doing so in trying to protect his own personal interest insofar as his dividends that he was going to be earning out of either the benefit that the loanman would make at the time or the loss that loanman would make at the time.
All right, it'll be interesting to see the arguments that play out in court because, I'm seeing various parties here, have filed really, dig and thought-provoking papers as they argue each other's case. And of course, this is all based on, if you remember that time in Marikana, those emails that were flying around calling for concomitant action. And these are emails that also became central in the Marikana Commission. But let's leave it there, and we'll continue to monitor proceedings. So in court tomorrow, that was Andries Nkome, attorney for the 34 miners. In fact, not 34. He's got, in fact, about over 300 mine workers that they are representing in this particular case.